You know, I just want to say a few words before we get started. Linda Black will be coming up here in about 10 minutes or less. I'll try to keep it short. As I said, I've been in this fight a long time. I co-chair a group called the Property Rights Coalition. We have chapters all across the state. We've done a lot of work over the years. Russell Wood was the chairman that passed away, and me and Doreen Hannes took his place to help continue the fight for property rights, and that our voices would be heard, that these federal agencies and the bureaucrats would have to somehow be brought under control. We've made many trips to Washington, to Jefferson City, speaking to our representatives. We fought the Natural Streams Act. Years ago, they did an effort, the Natural Streams Act, trying to regulate the farms and ranches and waterways. We got that stopped. The Man in the Biosphere, the United Nations Man in the Biosphere, it's a global program. The whole Ozark region in here was going to be a biosphere reserve. Basically regulate the people out of here. Move them into the cities. This would just be wildlands out here in many areas. And here's a map of the wildlands. This is what's proposed for America. I saw this map several years ago and I thought, man, is that true? I was out in Colorado speaking to a group of independent ranchers in southeast Colorado that the government is trying to take their farms and ranches. A huge swath of southeast Colorado. And the lady that was heading the fight showed me a map of the Wildlands Project, and she had got a very detailed blow-up of the Wildlands Project, and she laid it over the areas that they had proposed to take over out there in southeast Colorado, and it was exactly the same. The borders were exactly the same as the Wildlands map. So take this pretty seriously. What these are wildlife corridors. So we can have diversity of wildlife, so they can exchange genetics, so they can still migrate and travel around. It's crazy. It's crazy. But these red areas are the core wildlands area that they don't want anybody living in. And then you have the yellow areas that are highly regulated, where you have very limited human activity. And then they have certain areas that are human use areas. And this is what they're doing. This is what the federal agencies are doing. This is what Department of Transportation is doing. This is Housing and Urban Development. This is Department of Agriculture. They're all going by this map. We are being regulated and strangled to death. We had another effort. It was called the National Heritage Area. We had a meeting in Mountain View. We had 350 people. We had a packed house. Me and Doreen invited the proponents of the National Heritage Area to come and give their views on it, and then we gave our documents and our information, and we got that stopped. But they wanted to take over a huge region again, the same area. The same areas were involved. We got it stopped by exposing it, explaining to people. It took hours of research, hours of work. We got it stopped. Then we had the National Blueways. I heard about the National Blueways. I was the first one in Missouri that exposed the National Blueways program. Did hours and hours and hours of research trying to figure out what it was. People in Arkansas, I'd heard from people in Arkansas about the Blueways program, and what we discovered was unbelievable. They had a huge section of Missouri they wanted to basically turn into, again, an area just so heavily regulated and controlled by these bureaucracies that you really can't do production agriculture, logging, mining. And we got that stopped. We got them to rescind that in Congress, and our local representatives were very helpful. Were very helpful in getting that stopped, and I certainly thank them for their efforts. And we got that stopped. So now we have this land grab thing that they're doing. Now because of the lead contamination, they sued, and now they have this millions and millions of dollars And now they're diverting the money from up here in the lead belt down to our country in South Missouri, Oregon County, down in there. And now they're buying this land that are in these wildlands areas to connect all their, whatever their master plan is. And it's outrageous. And who is involved? Department of Natural Resources, Fish and Wildlife, and the National Park Service. Again, the same people that have been pushing all this other stuff. The same stuff. And it's so outrageous. It's so outrageous. They have their, they didn't share with our elected officials what they're doing. County commissioners didn't know anything about it, and they'll be speaking about it here shortly. Outrageous what these agencies are doing. Now we have legislation proposed in the House. Robert Ross, my state rep, proposed legislation, and it passed. It passed the House. It's, I'm not sure where it's at in the Senate. Maybe somebody can update us on that.
Overwhelming support in committee. It will pass with a veto-proof majority.
Awesome. Awesome. That's good news. We have got to stop this outrageous behavior by these agencies. This is outrageous. And how in the world can we have DNR, Federal Fish and Wildlife, and National Park Service deciding where they're going to spend millions of dollars that needs to stay up in this area? Why aren't our elected officials involved? So they not only need to have legislation forcing them to sell that 4,700 acres that they purchased, but they need to somehow rein in the decision-making of these agencies and be involved in how they spend this money. So this doesn't happen because according to these agencies, this is just the beginning. They're going to buy land all over the place down there. They have millions and millions of dollars. They have many projects after this. This isn't the end of it. This is the beginning. This has to be stopped. This has to be stopped now. My wife told me when I came, she said, "Oh, be careful, don't raise your voice." I'm not good at that. What I can't figure out is how they expanded the lead belt to include Oregon. I understand they even included Texas County, where I live, and I'm not sure how big that expansion is, but there's no lead mining down there. I don't know how they did that. Another angle is Texas County has something we adopted called a land use plan, where we notified all our federal and state agencies that if they're discussing something that affects our county, we have to be involved in that discussion. I don't believe my commissioners were ever involved in any discussion on being included in the lead belt. So that's under the NEPA Act. That's federal. They have to do that. That's another angle. So I don't know. Mike, where do you at, Mike Slack?
Here, it was Joanne Emerson who included us in the lead belt.
Oh, okay.
Thank you, Joanne.
Okay.
Yeah.
But they've included what? Howe County, Oregon. What else? Texas.
Shannon, Carter, Texas, right? Yeah. No lead mining anywhere there.
And there's no lead mining.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's another huge issue.